Hey guys, this is Issues with Daddy One Skip. I am and you are not. How you doing? What's going on? Welcome to my world. Won't you have some coffee with me? Guys, I'm trying to go on a little diet here, so looking at some ramen, but I'm not going to eat it right now. Guys, how you doing? So this is the second part of the Slacker show that I am piggybacking off of and commentating on, because I think that there's some more dialogue, there's more conversation to have here, especially after listening to it. So just a few things to bring home. But again, this is a wonderful video that explains simply what went on and who Gypsy is, and basically the whole manipulation story. I think is just, they did a great job here. So let's jump into it. Part 2 with 1980 Millennial Into the Weeds podcast on the Slacker Show.
Before the murder.
It doesn't really pan out that she was such a prisoner in the house, but was able to start a relationship with Nick. I didn't know about this 50-year-old dude, but it seems
He wasn't
like
the only one either.
Points where she wasn't quite the prisoner she made herself out to be.
Oh, she wasn't a hostage in her own home? Really? I don't think she was either. The world has seen pictures of that house. There hasn't been anything that shows you or anybody that Gypsy was held hostage in that house. Nothing. What it shows is that Gypsy was spoiled and a pig. That's what it shows.
She was not.
No, it even shows, I mean, there's a picture of her and Nick at the movies where, you know, she was dressed up as Cinderella or whatever. And who took that picture?
I know. Dee Dee took that picture, and you forgot to mention that Nick was dressed as Prince Charming.
Mm-hmm.
Who took that
Rumor
picture?
is Dee Dee did.
Yeah. And Dee Dee was saying to her friends and family that Gypsy had met a nice boy, and she was talking about Nick.
See, Gypsy could tell the world whatever she wants. It's bullshit when Gypsy's mouth's moving. She's lying. She's just a liar, pants on fire. But, you know, being that there's evidence of things before and stuff that Gypsy really can't change, all she could do is make herself look crazy or try to make us look crazy. It's not working. It's all imploding. And it's about time. I'll be honest, it's about time.
Yeah, and he has said that in his interrogation, I believe, he said that, you know, Dee Dee was a good mother and he doesn't understand. Nice. And in some of the...
Nick also said in the interrogation that he felt more than guilty because he found out how wonderful Dee Dee actually was. Now, he found that out after Gypsy had him unalive her mom. That's the way we're supposed to believe it. That's the story. So think about that for a second. If you don't think Gypsy plays mind games, imagine you're talked into unaliving somebody only to find within 3 days that she was a really good mom and a really good person and she did everything on her own. Why would Gypsy say that to Nick after he supposedly unalived her? Why? Because Gypsy plays fucking mind games.
Text messages that we got, he's asking multiple times, do we have to do this? Can we just run away? Can we do something else? And she basically puts her foot down and definitively says, no, this is the only way.
So for Prickhead Ryan and Dildo Dwarf Ken, yeah. So there you go. What do you say about that shit? You know, what do you say about that shit? Because she's manipulated the fuck out of you two brainless minions. You know, let me just say something about Ken and Ryan. I'm going off on a tangent here because I'm actually just... So these two morons that supposedly are smarter than Nick, right? You idiots, Ken and Ryan, both fell in love with somebody who was convicted of the M word and that of their mom, okay? That's not who Nick fell in love with. Nick fell in love with somebody who he thought was disabled and somebody that genuinely loved him and somebody that wasn't in prison. So what does that say again about you morons that like to bash Nick with the mental disability? Because she worked you guys like you were puppets. So what do you have to say about Nick again? You know, and I'm angry because they bash Nick, right? They bash Nick, yet it took him 2 years to finally give in to the constant nagging and the constant storytelling of and by Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And she was in prison. So let me tell you something. Nick did the wrong thing. I'm not sure he unalived anybody, but he thinks he did. So totally, he did the wrong thing. He has a mental disability. It took her 2 years, and she was telling him that Dee Dee was unaliving their baby because of a feeding tube and all of that. Who are you protecting her from? You should have been protecting yourself from her. That's to Ken and Ryan. Who are you protecting her from? Because you guys have failed her as far as protection. And they bash him for him not going to the police. Yet they're walking in circles looking like idiots. Both Ken and both Ryan are looking like effing idiots. And they're going to bash somebody with a mental disability when Gypsy did the same damn thing to you. She's doing it to you. She's playing you. You didn't unalive anybody. We're not 100% sure Nick did either. You know, look at who you fell in love with. Look, would you bet all of your money? Would you bet your mom's life? Hey, let me ask you a question, dumbass Ken. Would you bet your kid's life that Gypsy didn't take one jab at her mom? I bet you wouldn't. I bet you wouldn't. Because you don't know. And neither do you, Ryan. Neither do you.
And there's a video in evidence where Gypsy is talking to Nick, and he says, and she says, and she's actually dressed up as Demona, I believe, which is one of her altars.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I'm going to take the one thing I have over you, and that's Gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
So she was saying she was going to take Gypsy away from him.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like possibly through unaliving, that
Mhm.
sort of threat.
So Gypsy was messing with Nick's head so much so that he was convinced that Gypsy had multiple personalities and that this one personality was going to take the one person that he loved, which was Gypsy, away from him by taking over all of Gypsy. So you see how she was game playing Nick? And Nick's got a mental disability. He's trying to understand everything. And he actually does reach out to somebody to say, is she crazy? So I'm not sure that Ken or Ryan ever asked if Gypsy was crazy. Nick asked. He still, unfortunately, went along with the plan, but he asked. You know, he questioned it. These guys married it.
We read in some of the notes here that there's some fetish we're supposed to ask about. What is I'm apprehensive to ask, but what was Gypsy's fetish?
Guys, I think I can have a lot of fun with this next video about the fetishes and stuff. And I don't think it's really appropriate for me to put it on this video because this video kind of went off on a tangent about who's the better man here. Like, seriously, who's the better man here? Nick with his disabilities? Ken with his messed up ways, because Ken has got some dark friggin' issues. Dark issues. And we're going to hear more about them during the fetishes. And Ryan just lives in a make-believe world where he thinks Gypsy is just biding time to be with him and trying to find a way to make it work and be with him. Yeah, I would say that Nick is probably a lot more realistic than those morons. Guys, this is Issues with Toddy Oneskip. I am Toddy Oneskip. We're going to get into the fetishes next. But I wanted to make sure to have a video out here for you guys by 7 a.m. I'm trying. And also because, yeah, this video really struck me as, why are you guys bashing somebody when you behaved, I think, equally bad? Because I'm not convinced Nick did anything except be there for Gypsy. I know he thinks he unalived Dee Dee, I think he unalived an unalived person. And it's bad that he even thinks he did that. Obviously, he's doing life, right? But what would Ken have really done? What would Ryan really do? That came up on a question, I think, in the interview that I was having with Renelle Smith. You know, what would Ryan really do for Gypsy? Guys, be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Have a great day. See you on the next one.